Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan, I'm your host, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about basically the life of an engineer. What happens in design firms, what goes on behind the scenes of this black box that you magically get drawings out of every so often, and really how engineering firms operate. So if you're new to the design world, if you're new to engineering, if you're new to how all these things kind of work and function, welcome. So Dillon Mitchell, done $1 billion worth of construction as a licensed electrical engineer, licensed in 16 states, and worked on anything from hospitals, offices, industrial, manufacturing buildings, to multifamilies, restaurants, you kind of name it, we've worked on it. So, what goes on behind the scenes of an engineering firm? First off, engineers work on a ton of projects all at once. Um, they've probably got, from on the small side, maybe 3 massive projects that they have on their desk to maybe a dozen smaller projects. So engineers are ultimately stressed out all the time. They have just a ton on their plate. And at least the ones who care are the most stressed out, right? They're the ones who can't just leave at 5 o'clock. They can't leave things unfinished, that want to get things done, that, want to meet deadlines and don't feel bad when deadlines, or feel bad when deadlines get missed, right? So the engineers that care, the ones that are really trying to put a good project together, get all those details sorted out, those are the ones you ultimately want on your projects, the ones that care about hitting deadlines, the ones that'll stay late, work weekends, everything that they need to do to get that project done. Those are ultimately the good engineers because they care, they're learning more, and they're doing more. And for me, there were times that I was basically just felt shackled to my desk, right? Times where I knew I wasn't going to leave, knew I wasn't going to get up, that I was running on. I'm more of a coffee guy, but for others, they're running on Mountain Dews and energy drinks and everything else to stay and get those projects done. So for a lot of us, understand that we're working on a lot of things at once. Things, unfortunately do get missed. But this is the reality of being an engineering firm. To not miss stuff, we got to have the time ultimately to sit down, work on those plans, those drawings, be focused, not get distracted. And some of this comes down to sometimes ignoring phone calls that we get from contractors or from suppliers, vendors, what have you, and really just focus on the job at hand. So a lot of the times you kind of feel like there's almost no hope of going home or for any break in the tide of projects that we ultimately do. And you just feel like there's always another client calling, another project that comes across your desk that needs to be done right now. It's another fire, another problem, another piece for you to have to deal with, right? It needs to be done right now. That's what a lot of engineers feel like, that those projects it's the most important thing. And honestly, it is for those clients. It is the most important thing that they have. They're spending millions of dollars on these buildings, on these projects to bring them to life. And our fees, are a small portion of that, but it's what we do that ultimately helps to bring that project to life. So if we're delayed, that delays construction and delays everything else down the line. So we got to make sure that we are hitting those deadlines, that we are bringing on the help that we need to do these projects. And, a lot of us end up just breaking ourselves in the process of doing this, right? The firm can't hire another person. There's no training pipeline or process to onboard new people. It's kind of like just sit here and by osmosis, hopefully you learn something, man. And that's not really a good system to bring anybody in. And in all the firms that I've worked in, by and large, that is the process for the majority of engineering firms to onboard people. It's just come in here, sit down. Hey, hopefully you learn something. this guy's too busy for you right now, so just, go through this non-existent training that we have, and hopefully you'll pick it up, watch some YouTube videos. So that's not a system for success to onboard, train, and get help for your engineers to do more or be better or be less stressed or have higher quality control over the drawings that you're ultimately doing and the projects that you're delivering for your clients, which ultimately means that in construction you're going to have more issues to attend to, right? The drawings weren't complete, they weren't to a point that they needed to be, so you're going to have to deal with a lot more issues in construction. It's going to be costly. It's going to put delays on there and ultimately cost your firm some money somewhere down the line. So we want to make sure that, again, at the end of the day, we're putting a good set of drawings together. And being in firms, I mean, like, I got shingles from the stress of putting these projects together, working incredibly long hours in doing it. And, ultimately I was going on a planned vacation that I planned 8 months in advance, and, got shingles like 2 days before I got on the plane. And so my entirety of vacation was with shingles, and that is no way to spend a vacation. So I don't want to have that happen to you. I mean, others I've talked to have gotten, tumors or stress ulcers or you name it. And most of these guys were in their like 30s, late 20s, early 30s, at a point where this should not be happening. Other guys have massively high blood pressure. They've had like heart racing and palpitations, like all this kind of crazy stuff, all stress induced, right? Like it all came back down to stress of the job, of what they put themselves through. And there's, again, the biggest way out of this is hiring, but we all know that finding engineers, there's not as many coming out of school, and then there's a lot more fields than going into construction, right? As an electrical engineer, guys go into communications, or they go be a plant engineer, or they go work for the utility. There's not many of us that go and sit on the design side and be consulting engineers in the electrical world. My graduating class was 50 electrical engineers, and we graduated like 125 mechanical guys and 150 civil engineers. So I mean, we're the smaller, and I went to a specific engineering school, and so I mean, there's, of the 500 in the graduating class, right, school of 2,000, 2,500 kids, like, you're pretty much only going to graduate a very small portion electrically, and then an even smaller portion that go into the design world. So one, you just don't have the talent pool, like the numbers aren't there to support it. So how do you kind of build yourself out of this? You might be able to pick one guy every couple of years out of a engineering program to come in. You're going to pay them between 65 and 75 grand starting out of school, plus benefits. So weighted salary with everything's going to be like 125 grand, somewhere in there, of weighted salary. So as we look through this and go down that path, like, that becomes almost a financially untenable situation. Like, how do you bill enough? How do you win enough projects? How do you have enough clients to sustain that and hire and train and have the time to do this when you got your own projects to do? And if you're running the firm, you got proposals and insurance to deal with, and other employees' problems and personal issues to sort through. You've got so much other overhead issues to deal with, sort through, that hiring and training that next guy becomes super difficult. Like, again, I've been in your shoes, man. I've run departments, I've hired people, I've fired people, I've trained them up, and it takes everything to do that, right? And a lot of this I did in my early or mid to late 20s, in building these departments and growing everybody out, because I got my PE at 25 with an MBA shortly thereafter. Like, I have gone through this entire process and, building departments, building a firm, and it is a grind. So if you can't hire people, you have problems training them, like how else do you get out of this whole thing? Well, that's exactly what we built here at Kowabunga Studios, is an automation solution that allows you to automate all that tedious, mind-numbing tasks that you do as an electrical engineer, right? All the drafting that you do of placing those thousands of receptacles across the model, automated. Lights, and doing your lighting calculations, light spacing for even illumination across the work plane for lighting, done in minutes. You'll put thousands of lights in a model. Same with switches, putting a switch, lighting controls by the door, occupancy sensors on the ceiling, putting data devices into a model, adding electrical panels into your electrical rooms to be circuited and connected to later. All your fire alarm devices, kind of a general layout, and just putting devices across it to be coordinated and candelas set for them as you go through the project. Like all of these devices that we put from, lighting, power, fire alarm, lighting controls, data, security, access control, all of these systems that you're putting in just saved you hundreds of hours, maybe 1,000, depending on the project size. I mean, we're talking huge lifts. And frankly, as I've looked at this and been in these shoes, like this is the only solution that I've seen that allows you to do more in less time without the headaches and pain of hiring, training, retaining, rewarding anybody within your organization. This is automation and AI built specifically for Revit, for electrical engineering. It's built for engineers, by engineers. This is not some generic AI that gives wrong answers. Like this thing is built to automate device population in Revit models. Like that is what it's built to do. And now that we have our token system released, this is going to be an even bigger deal for you guys. So you can start as little as $100 to do automation. We've built this token system so you only pay for what you use instead of investing, which people have, $10,000 or $50,000 in automation with us. You now have the ability to, for as little as $100, start to automate device placement throughout your models, saving you time. And really, it gives you the time to do bring on people, to start training, but you can now really invest in the people that you bring onto your firm. So again, if we're talking about that one engineer that you bring on every maybe 2 years, 3 years, you can really spend the time to invest in them, really train them. It's not learning by osmosis anymore. It's like, hey, here's how to do this. And you have really dedicated training experiences for them. You have the ability to really show them what needs to be done, how to do it, and make them a great engineer, right? This isn't go sit in the corner and we'll, get to you. This is now, because you have the time, because you freed up, tens, hundreds, maybe 1,000 hours across all of your projects, the ability to sit and help that young engineer actually learn what they need to do. So now you're going to get way more out of that person that, again, you're investing $125,000 weighted salary with benefits, insurance, pay time off, all that kind of good stuff. Like you can really invest in that person to make their experience really good. You can teach them really well so that so shortly they can run their own projects, do their own design, and really be a substantial asset to the firm because you've taught them well. And so we want to be able to have that time to do it. And if you just want to run your own, small engineering firm and not have a ton of people on, you can use this to do that. But now you get to spend more time with your clients. You get to spend maybe more time with your kids, right? Actually leave at 5:00. So this allows you to have the time that you need to do the things you want to do, right? Whether that's get more clients, be home more often, just not be so stressed out and die young, right? Like we're trying to avoid that thing. So we want you to be a happy, healthy, successful engineer. And the only way you're going to do that is to get more time back. And automation is the only way that we have seen work to help people move forward. And again, automation built specifically for what you're doing, not general AI that you got to prompt 10,000 times to figure out, what it's doing, but automation solution that's been built for engineers, by engineers, specifically for Revit to do exactly what you guys are trying to do. So that is what we are achieving and continue to achieve here at Kowabunga Studios, is automation solutions built specifically for you guys to save time, reduce all those tedious tasks, and at the end of the day, just live a better life. That is this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Until next time.